Hello and welcome to Let's See It. I'm Rebecca Tanwin.
And I'm Kiva Murphy.
And today's episode we're going to be talking to Ross McClure, director and writer at Magic Eye Productions. We'll be chatting to him about being in the moment and reacting authentically.
Ross is amazing. I worked with him before. He's a great director. He's a writer as well. And he's someone who really gets things done. He's like, I'm going to write a movie. And then he does.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. It's a lovely chat. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode. Today we have the wonderful Ross McClure here with us.
Yes, Ross. Hello.
And then it goes wild. Woo.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You're officially our first guest.
Oh really? The first one?
You
haven't recorded anyone else?
No, you are the first guest ever.
Exciting.
You're seeing all behind the curtain.
So there's no bar that's been set at this point.
You are
the
bar is very low.
You're setting the bar.
So Ross, tell us a little bit about who you are. How do we know each other and who are you?
So hi everyone, I'm Ross. I'm a filmmaker. I'm from Belfast in Northern Ireland. Yeah, so I've been in Barcelona for about 5 years. I was in London before, and I have a production company called Magic Eye, and we make a lot of branded commercial social content, and I also make short films, and that's how I know Kiva, because we've worked on a number of projects, commercial and personal. A favourite of mine was a short that we shot on Super 8 film called Dirty Sally, which was a kind of jokey riff on Dirty Harry, the 1970s police thriller starring Clint Eastwood. So Kiva actually played Dirty Sally herself and was kicking ass.
It was really fun. That was such a fun shoot.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I remember on the day, the very first shot was just literally Kiva. It was like a top-down shot of Dirty Sally's desk in the police station with her badge and her coffee cup and her report. And Kiva just had to close the folder and pick up a gun. And I swear I got everyone to practice it 50 times. So many times. But once we'd done that first shot, then we were kind of off, and we were kind of it took us a whole day, but it was good crack.
That's so exciting. And also it's just it takes you back to that analog time where you take it, that's it. That's your shot. You can't look back at it. You think you've got it. There's no sort of checking of anything. You can't take a million different things. It's and then you physically, I don't know, you did it in camera, but physically, in the old days, go and cut it up and stick it together.
And another thing was that the camera that we shot on, it had this kind of defect in the lens. So whenever it was a really dark scene or an interior scene, it had this kind of smudgy effect on one side of the image that we got back. But we didn't know that when we were shooting. And so when I first saw it, I was like, oh God, it's terrible. The image is terrible. But because it was this kind of fuzzy 70s exploitation kind of film, it was just really fortunate because it worked for the film. So it was kind of like a lucky accident in a weird way. And I'm really glad that happened now.
Yeah. Well, that's that kind of lucky accident, something that happened that you didn't expect.
We say that in improv all the time. People are so worried about making a mistake and they're holding themselves really close so that they don't, fuck up or anything. And it's no, any mistake is a gift.
Sometimes I think about filmmaking and production, and obviously this is very much your world, Ross. You do have to problem solve all of the time. Something doesn't work, how do you make it work? How do you take the things when they go wrong and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you definitely need having the ability to improvise and having that kind of temperament that if things go wrong, you can deal with it, I think is really important in filmmaking. And that can happen at any stage of the process. That's not just when you're shooting. When you're in pre-production, you've got an actor confirmed, but then they drop out or they get ill. Yeah, and then certainly when you're on set, I've been on productions before where I haven't been the director and something has gone wrong, and then all hell breaks loose because the team aren't ready for it, they haven't anticipated these sorts of things. Yeah, I think that improvisation kind of element of filmmaking is also something that I really find exciting and invigorating, and I really like being on set and people coming to me with their problems. I don't want the production to kind of go super smoothly. Obviously you wanted to do that, but it is never going to just go perfectly. So you have to simply accept that and be like, okay, well, something's going to go wrong. And sometimes it's something really big and sometimes it's something small. Obviously, when it's a commercial project and there's a lot of money riding on it and the client wants a certain thing, you have money there that you can pay to make sure that things are not going to go wrong. But even in the edit as well, it might be that you thought in the moment when you were shooting a scene that you got the reaction from an actor or an actress that that you wanted, but then you get into the edit and you look at the footage and you're like, it doesn't quite sell it. And so then the improvisation is, how do I rejig the scene? Maybe I actually need to go to the previous scene and change an earlier reaction that then this one that I do have in the later scene will work.
And when you're planning the production, do you build time in for things to go wrong? Like for that improv moment of like, this is an 8-hour shoot, we're going to say it's 10 hours, so these 2 hours are for things that will change and shift and go wrong.
I find that it's less about planning for it and being more flexible on the day to change the existing plan to fit the requirements of the day, if that makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's not easy, and that's also quite worrying for a lot of other people. I've got this ability, which I think has helped me because I've been freelance essentially for maybe like 13 years now or something. And it's the ability to just kind of put the demons at bay and just be like, I'll get through it, you know? It's going to be okay. And that can be difficult whenever you've got no money in the bank and you're pitching for jobs or whatever, or you have to pay the rent. But you have to build mechanisms and systems in order to avoid those sorts of pitfalls.
You do notice who are the people who are real old hands at it, because they're just like, yeah. They're like, okay, we're going to get it done. Just keep working, keep being resilient, keep doing your job, and it gets done. And it's really impressive to watch that calmness.
I don't even know if it's a thing about experience, because I worked with the director on a big commercial a couple of years ago, and he was so tense the entire day. He was like, do it again, go, do it again, go. And it got to the point where I kind of went to the first AD and went like, we need a break. It was just the worst set I've ever been on. And everyone was terrified of him and everyone was kind of like tiptoeing around him. There was no flexibility, zero.
What about...
I'm not like that.
No, you're not. Caveat, Ross is not like that.
Yeah.
On your set, how flexible are you? So if your actors want to improvise around your script, are you like, no, the words are the words?
This
or are
is
you kind
two
of like...
actors asking a director what they've always wanted to ask.
Curious.
So, as with most of these types of questions, it depends. A couple of years ago, I made a short film called Influencers Anonymous, which is about a kind of Alcoholics Anonymous style, meeting with these different social media influencers, and each one had a different kind of affliction. The script that we had, that my friend James Vincent had written, was funny in and of itself, but the guys that we cast in the film ended up bringing more to it. One of the actors was a guy called Tom Tennant, and we also had Marnie Manning, who is also a stand-up comedian. The energy was just different, rather than just sticking to the script, they were able to just bring more to the table. For that film, it worked because we were only shooting in one location. It was just one day. And so it was very straightforward. But they brought so much, they kind of brought the script to life through the addition of their improvisation. So yeah, I think it really depends on the situation and the script.
And also some actors hate doing it. They hate going off script. They're like, this is the script and this is what I'm doing. And some actors are like, the script? What's that? I'm just going to do my own thing.
I tend to make genre films, and I like them to have an element of comedy. They don't need to be like laugh out loud funny, but an element of fun. So for me, it's something that I welcome. But there are certainly filmmakers, especially if it's something that's like a real life story, or it's something from their own life, or it's a complicated murder mystery or something like this, where you can't really stray, as you say, from the core elements of the script. I know that, for example, Quentin Tarantino, when he writes his scripts, I think he's written them in such a vernacular that he wants them to be
word perfect.
That doesn't mean that someone can't suggest something, but I think everyone goes into it knowing that is the sort of baseline you're working from. Whereas someone like, I don't know, Adam McKay, who did The Big Short, and then he's an executive producer on Succession, those sorts of productions, the actors they've cast, they want them to bring something additional to it, I think.
And you can feel it. It's a different feeling. Like you watch Succession or something and you're like, they're all riffing off each other and the reactions and things, and it's so fast paced. It kind of lends itself to that.
Yeah.
Those sorts of productions, certainly for comedy, but even more so I think when it has a dramatic element like Succession, that sort of improvisatory tone.
Yeah, it's a word. It's a word. We're running with it.
I don't want to say
improvisatory tone. It feels more like chaotic and real. You know, when you're watching those episodes of Succession, you're kind of like, oh my God, what on earth are they going to say now? What the hell are they going to do? And so that's constantly like a threat.
But how much of Succession is improvised, and how much of it is just really, really well written?
I think it's both. From looking at interviews with them, like, there is a script, but a lot of the reactions are improvised. A lot of the like little riffs and digs with each other is added on.
And they shoot with multiple cameras as well. I know that on the last season, on one of the key episodes, they basically shot like a kind of 15-minute sequence. Maybe it wasn't even that long, because they shoot on film. The magazines that the film is on.
Film?
Yeah. But the magazines that they shoot with on the film cameras, I think they're about 10 to 12 minutes long each. So, you know, once you get to 12 minutes, I mean, you just
have to stop.
You've run out of film. And so they had cameras hidden around the location, and so they would run the scene, and then there'd be multiple cameras. I mean, the cameramen must be incredible. They kind of know where the other ones are, or maybe someone's on a radio, or I don't really know how they do the logistics of it, but they were able to just, instead of doing, okay, we'll do your 1 minute bit of dialogue, and then we'll shoot the reverse with you, and then we'll shoot a wide of it, and then the scene's done. They just rolled this whole sequence.
But that is the luxury of money and a huge team.
Of course.
In an ideal world, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it is and it isn't, because I've been coaching this actor who's working on Fair City, which is like an Irish Emmerdale kind of soap that's been going forever, and he's doing a scene this week actually, and I've been kind of helping him through it. And I was on Fair City years ago, and it's like one take, maybe two. But that's the reality of it, because they're filming so many things in such quick succession that it's like they're all improvising all the time.
Yeah, well, soap filming is like that. The speed of learning those lines, like anytime I talk to anybody who's done a soap, they're just like, this is so fast. You get a script and it all changes that morning, and then you just got to shoot it, and it's multi-camera, and you've got 1-2 takes, that's it. Yeah. So you can't be like, oh, I'm sorry, can we stop? I forgot my line, or line, please. You just got to go with it.
I mean, I did an episode of Cuéntame Cómo Pasó, which is like the same, but here. And they were like, who's the director today? And they were like, this is the director. Who's the AD? This guy? Who's this person? This girl? Like, the team changes every single day. But it's like an incredible, flexible dance between. It was wild. Oh my God. Really wild.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah?
Because it felt like being on stage. I mean, it is a sound stage, but it felt like being on stage with like, we just go, we go.
Well, that's fun for you, but there's lots of actors that would really freak out, that would just be like, no. And I think that becomes from your background of being an improviser, being a clown, like just being like, okay, this is what I've got, and this is what I'm going to do, and just rolling with those kind of punches. But some actors would be like,
panic,
and just close up completely.
Yeah.
Because that's really scary to then suddenly be like, and go, throw yourself into that and just...
Whereas, I suppose I'm in my element. Now I've worked so many years in improv. Now when someone gives me a script, I'm like, oh, no. Like, it's not a muscle that I use anymore. I find it much more difficult than when I was younger.
That's
I did find.
Oh, no!
No! Something's coming in.
No, just, there was, I remember whenever we were editing The Callback, which is a film I shot with Kiva last year. There was a couple of times we were like, this line was meant to be, it was saying this thing, but you just remixed it a little bit, But the thing was, it was such a simple concept that there wasn't any problem or anything. And you would always be fully convincing when you're giving the lines. It's more like, again, what we're talking about. The more that you get into the weeds with the details of what the person's saying, it can become complicated. But the film's still great.
Editor's dream. An editor's dream.
Every take is different. Everything is.
But I've also seen it where an actor will like fudge a line in the middle. The take's still usable, even though I can replace that line because I'm cutting back to something else. So they'll like just zone back in and do the rest of the scene. Yeah, it's tricky.
Not being thrown by your mistakes. So if you do fudge a line, or you get something a bit wrong, you're not going, oh no, I've done it wrong, and then kind of not being in the zone. You're absolutely right. Not putting themselves back into where they're meant to be.
Yeah.
Or you could just get Kiva to just make up your script for you.
Like, it's just like a 10% difference in what it's supposed to be. Every single time a different 10%.
It's all there somewhere.
Luxury. Yeah. So many options. I've got a question. How much do you use improv when you're writing?
Good question. I mean, whenever I'm writing shorts, I usually find that idea, once it's in your head, it's fairly easy to write. But whenever I'm writing something that's long form, like I'm writing a feature at the minute, and I've also got a sitcom that I'm working on, and what I find is that it's better to try and plot out the majority of the film in sort of beats, so that whenever you're writing the script, you're not just sort of writing into the wilderness. Now, some people like doing that, and certainly if you're writing, say, a novel, that's a bit more acceptable because you maybe are just letting the character take you wherever you want. But I find that the majority of films have overarching sort of blueprint, let's call it, that you can sort of adhere to. Now, that doesn't mean that every film adheres to the same blueprint, but I've actually just been reading this really great book, which is also a website. It's called Save the Cat, and it's by a guy called Blake Schneider, I think. And the beauty of this book and his approach is that he has genres of films, but they're not the genres that we know. So he might have a genre like full triumphant, okay? A full triumphant film would be something like Legally Blonde, where the character, it's a character going up against a society that doesn't believe in her. She has a secret skill that no one else can see, and it comes to the fore by the end. Another example would be Forrest Gump, but hers is more of a kind of like, it's this kind of law relationship thing, whereas his is more of a society. The society won't accept him, and you see all the different ways throughout the second half of 20th century American history where he gets kind of pushed aside or brushed away. So anyways, there's lots of these, or there's like superhero genre, or The Golden Fleece, which would be more like your typical kind of sword and sandals adventure movie, but it could also apply to Ocean's 11 because it's about a team coming together to achieve a goal, and like Lord of the Rings, something like this would also fit into that. But you wouldn't immediately go Lord of the Rings is the same as Ocean's 11. The term Save the Cat refers to the beginning of your film, because you have to, your hero, or maybe maybe your hero is a bad person, but in which case it would be kill the cat. You get them to save the cat at the beginning, and so people like them because they saved the cat, they got the cat out of the tree or whatever. So it's a little trick that you use in order to ingratiate the audience with your character.
So we empathise with your protagonist.
Exactly. And the other thing that Save the Cat has is, and you don't even have to buy the book, you can go on the website, and it has like a beat sheet, which is like your opening image and then like the setup of the world. The catalyst, which is like the first moment where your world is rocked, and then you have like the theme that's stated, and so on and so on.
And breaking it down like that into that structure
the
gives you so much.
Honestly, once you see this thing, if you have a rough idea of what your plot can be, you can just fill it in, and it works for almost any film or genre or whatever.
Let's go.
Honestly, it blew my mind. And the sitcom that I've been writing, I just did it. And the other, last point on this, when you go on the website and you can go to this thing called the beat sheet calculator or something like this, and you can put in the number of pages of your script. Okay, say you want to make a 90-minute movie, okay? Mm-hmm. You put in 90, and then it tells you roughly like what
page 12,
pages.
it should be this.
Yeah, the catalyst has to be page 44 to 45 or whatever. And so then you can just map it out, and then of course it's a guide. It's not the law.
No,
it's
simply something that you can use to guide you.
I love it.
Fantastic. Because often that is one of the trickiest structuring, like how you structure your story.
Well, the blank page and like where do you start is so intimidating.
Yeah, because there's like a kind of black comedy thriller film that I'm writing, and I actually wrote it as a half-hour thing. I actually wrote it for RTE Story, which have Storyland, which is like a kind of RTE's a channel in Ireland, and they have a annual competition where people get to make like a half-hour drama, and I wrote a script for that and pitched it. I didn't get it, but
you have it now.
But I have that but that's only like a quarter of the length of probably what you want the feature length thing to be. So now, but it still has the beats.
So
I mean, more or less. So I just need to expand it. So now the problem is I'm like, well, I've got these gaps. Like, what else happens in story? I need to figure it out, But at least I have that as a kind of like, I know what happened. I know what the ending is, and I think that's the really difficult thing is people haven't figured out the ending.
Do you notice the difference when you're directing, editing, putting things together, that people are genuinely reacting in the moment, like they're responding in the moment, versus people. And can you tell if someone does improv? Can you tell by the way that they're actually genuinely reacting to things, or that they're so into their script that they're holding their script and they're not responding?
I would say that whenever you're watching the performance in the edit, it's kind of like remarkable what you can see and tell in people's eyes. And I would say that's for both the script and improv. It really depends on the story and the scene and the actor in particular. But some actors are amazing reactors, and they always say acting isn't really acting, it's reacting. I think that certainly if you've got a group scene or you've got a kind of it's not just an emotional two-hander, and there is room for the kind of what was that word again? Improvisatory.
Improvisatory. Yeah.
Improvisatory.
We're just coining new phrases.
Yeah,
it's great.
Improvisatory elements. Yes, you can definitely see it in the character's face or the actor's face. So there's a guy called Walter Murch, and he, I think he did sound and video editing for Apocalypse Now. He's written one called In the Blink of an Eye. And the concept of this book is that when people blink, they're processing information. The reason why this is important in editing and with actors and stuff like this is that good actors often don't blink a lot, because they're not sitting there blink, ding, 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 ding. You, the audience, want to see. Number one, you want to see their eyes, because that's the part of the screen that everyone looks the most. But whenever the rhythm of the scene in the edit, I find, is determined by the speed of the blinking of the actors. Okay, so what I mean by this is someone will say a statement, and you can hold on them for a beat, but if they blink,
you lose it.
You want to cut away before the blink. A bad take is where they blink in the wrong place, because they're not in the moment. They're not acting it. They're not reacting.
Processing the information as it comes to them.
And something that's really, really annoying in an edit is whenever they do a good performance, but they do a weird blink. And you're like, oh, because you can't cut around, you can't beat it. There's no way. It's I can't make them unblink. I can't make them keep their eyes open.
I'm so aware of my blinking now.
Yeah, me too. I'm just like,
where do I look?
Yeah.
Where do I look? How often do I blink?
But this also applies to like even interview footage where you're interviewing someone.
I guess it is a sign that the actor or the interviewee or whoever is not actually listening. They're not actually taking in what's being said to them. I'm now just obsessed.
I'm so aware of it now.
I can't think about anything.
You can watch
except
it.
like not blinking my eyes.
I don't advise to go too deep into it, but whenever you're chatting to someone later on, maybe not if you're recording more podcast episodes after this, but just when you're telling someone something, just watch when they blink.
I like it. It's so good. So good.
So I didn't mean to make you feel self-conscious. No. Although weirdly, when I was telling you that, both of you, I kept looking at you. We're both like blinking with like big bug eyes. Like
I was like, we could do
this. We can be good actors.
Am I processing? I'm like,
what am I thinking
my
about?
mind was like, am I processing this? Just listen to Ross, Rebecca. Don't think about anything else.
So I thought we could play a game called Director's Cut, because we've got a director here.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So, put you on the spot.
Every time I get nervous, I'm like...
It's always a new game, and I never tell Bex what it's going to be.
No, I don't.
So what's going to happen is the two of us will do a scene. It will be about 30 seconds. Yeah, Ross can give us the context of the scene in a second. And then we're going to do it 3 more times, but you're going to give us a totally different genre, or you're going to add something to the scene. So you can either say, okay, you're going to do it again, but more musical, or you're going to do it again, but in this genre. You might say you want to do it again, but I want there to be more rain and
blinking.
more passion. No blinking. Yeah. So you'll have three versions. Does it make sense?
I think so. Yeah.
Great. So what is the context? Who are we, or where are we? Give us something to get us started.
You're on a farm.
Okay. Great.
Is that enough, or do you want more? Yeah.
That enough? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Instant fear grips me.
All right, so it's going to be a...
Sorry. sorry.
Won't do that accent then.
Sorry.
I'll change then, shall I?
Was that like a rustic, rural?
It was
Heavy
like
rural
heavy,
Irish.
heavy Wales.
Heavy
Oh, it's in
Wales.
Wales.
I only said a word. Give me a chance.
I can do Welsh. I didn't recognise.
You're half Welsh. You can do Welsh.
Okay, go on, sorry.
Okay.
Right. on the farm. Go.
On the farm. Now I don't know what accent to do. Now I'm like,
Do
really
whatever.
confused.
I won't be such a dick.
Try to be less of a dick. Right, so I think it might be time to bring in the apples.
They've been out there a long time.
Yeah, but can you see how many of them are lying on the floor? Every single apple on the floor is money that we don't have in our back pockets.
That we've wasted because of our laziness.
I mean, seriously, we should have just got up. Instead of going off and gallivanting, we're just letting those apples rot like they're rotting inside of our souls.
But if we didn't go off, we never would have discovered our true purpose in life.
What is that true purpose?
Our true purpose is to be doctors.
Okay, we're going to repeat the exact same scene, but how do you want it different?
I had zombie movie in my brain before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
make a more zombie movie.
Okay.
Okay. You can give us an action if you want.
Action.
Oh my god. Oh my god, there's so many apples on the floor.
We've wasted them all. Oh God, they're all wasted.
Oh god, and oh Jesus Christ! Every single apple on the floor is something that we're not gonna get.
But we were so lazy. It's our fault. We were so lazy.
Oh god, I feel like we're rotting it.
Oh God, Jane, we'll never discover our true purpose.
What is it?
I will never live to discover that I want to be a doctor.
Okay.
Dramatic.
A dramatic zombie.
That was good.
Then you get a third version that can be totally different.
Okay, what if it's like a police procedural?
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. I can see 4 apples on the floor on the west wing.
Yeah, we've wasted them.
I feel like this was our fault. I feel like we should have made a plan and stuck to the plan.
But how can it be our fault? Oh, I know why. We're just so lazy.
We should have been out there. We should have been out there paying attention, putting stakes on every single apple and paying attention.
Don't beat yourself up. This is not your fault.
Well, I didn't think it was. It's both of our faults. What's going to change after this moment?
If we hadn't have gone out there, we would never have discovered our true purpose.
And tell me, look me in the face and tell me what was our purpose.
To be doctors.
Such a random ending.
The ending is it's pretty odd.
Yeah, it's when you
didn't
plan your
any-
ending.
I was waiting for a blink joke in there, but
I missed a
but
trick.
no, it's
So
okay.
sorry.
I was gonna shout, but you guys were like,
I'm too
We're
obsessed.
so in the
Not paying
moment. I was
attention
like,
to
oh
you.
god, yeah,
I'm too obsessed with my blinking already.
yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. That's a director's cut. Thanks for having
Thank you.
Thanks for being a director.
Yeah, thank you so much for playing. That was fun. We had a real director.
Yeah. Thank you, Ross. Amazing. We will link all of the detail to who you are and to Magic Eye Productions and all of those books that you mentioned.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show. It was good fun.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, it's strange. Even just talking about the script stuff and the blinking stuff, really great to share it and kind of realize that that's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
Nice.
The bar is set high. Officially high. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ross.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.